Students, good afternoon to you, and good afternoon to respected teachers of the schools. Um, I'm really delighted, and thank you, Shreyas and La Foundation. I'm very delighted that I'm able to interact with all of you today, and giving you some, you can say, some gyan on startup finance. But I'm really delighted to. So I will tell you why, and you can see my screen, right? Um,
Yes,
so
sir.
basically, see, all of you students are very lucky in the sense that you will be passing out or graduating in next, say, 6 years in the time frame where in India, the concepts of Make in India, a lot of startups, funding available, that environment is already maturing. And you will be graduating and starting your career during that environment. Also, some of the global events like China Plus, or you can say substitute to Chinese companies, stand taken by many developed nations that is helping India. So what that means is there will be a lot of opportunities created in India for producing, manufacturing, developing, designing, make in India products for global markets. And this is very important. All of you should remember that whatever you do, okay, whether it's a product, whether it's a service as a product, you know, develop it for global market and not just for Indian market. That means it needs to have a quality standards. It needs to have user interfaces. It needs to have a technology that we will able to sell in global market. And when you develop something in global market, we will be always successful in Indian market. So I'm told that I should talk a little bit about the finance part of startups. So let me begin with some of the statistics. So 90%, 95% of startups actually fail within first couple of years due to poor financial management. What that means, you may have great product, you may have great technology, you may also have sales and marketing in place. But if you fail in proper finance management, there are good chances that startup fails. And you may be already hearing some news in recent news in newspapers that one of the, I will not take a name, but very well established educational technology firm in India was unicorn, declared unicorn couple of years back. It's currently facing lot of problems due to financial mismanagement. And in fact, they had grown like pan India, become global brand for India, and they are in the verge of failing because there was financial mismanagement. So financial literacy is extremely important. And today I will attempt, so that I know all of you are between grade 8 to 10. So I will try my best to explain to you the way you can understand all the concepts when you are making product yourself. I'm also happy that institutions like Dassault Foundation, Atal Mission are, and of course with the help of principals and teachers of participating schools, are putting efforts to give all of you student opportunity to build a product within given budget. And I'm told you have around what, 21,000 or something around that budget, which in which you have to manage your product. So coming to the topic of finance, okay. Today we will cover some basic topics. Somewhere in some topics I will go a little faster. In some topics I will talk more, and lot of things we will then cover over Q&A. So when we talk about financial literacy, it starts with budgeting and planning, then how you do funding for your startups or product development, then how you do your pricing, and then we will talk a little bit of compliance and sales and analytics and importance of that in financial setup for your organization. Now, if we see, a budget is a very key component of your startup business plan. Before you start any product development or even think of conceiving an idea and planning to take it to the market, that is your day one or maybe day minus 100, you have to start planning. Now, budget has various components. That means first, actually, when you have a product, you start understanding the market. Okay. Then what could be your revenue? Then what is required to develop the product? What are your monthly expenses? What are your fixed expenses, variable expenses? What is estimated monthly sales? When you will get cash, and we will little bit talk about cash versus profit later. How you are going to pay money to your vendors, how you will generate money even before startup to build machinery, to have a building, furniture, computers, etc. And this process of budgeting is extremely important. Now, typically, people talk about revenue budget, expense budget, funds requirement, and cash flow budget. Now, when we talk about revenue budget, very simple. That means that for your product, what is market? Now, market may be local, market may be global, market may be direct, market may be indirect. That means you sell it to distributors and they sell it to end consumers, or sometimes you directly sell to end consumers or you export and so on. So you have to create a revenue budget for each of your product line based on the marketplace. So typically budgets are A, product based, B, market segmentation based, region based, and so on. Then you work out a expense budget. Typically expense budget means to make that product, okay, what all expenses you incur. Now, expenses are typically fixed type of expenses and variable expenses. And let me explain. Now, you require a building to manufacture something or to provide service from that building. Now, whether you make 10 products and sell 10 products out of that building, or you make 100 products or million products, your building cost or rent you pay to the building remains the same, right? Nobody will come and say that, hey, you pay me as you sell, particularly rent. So, or suppose you buy furniture, okay? Once you buy the furniture, okay, whether it's on rent or on direct cost, your cost already is incurred. That's your fixed cost. Or computers you buy, it's your fixed cost. When we talk about variable cost, of course, so it depends on number of items you are making. For example, you are manufacturing 10 components. Then all the material cost required for those 10 components is variable to number of components. That means that when you make 100 components, you will buy material for 100 components. When you make million components, you will buy material required for million components. That means that some costs are variable, okay, to number of products you manufacture and sell. Then you have investments and fund requirements. This is typically required at various stages of your business. I mean, some investment you require upfront, some investment you require as you go along, some investment you require when you want to expand based on your current success or failure, you want to add some environment, and that's a investments or funds requirement. Now, this funds requirement come in various forms and which we will cover in later slide. And then there is something called as like revenue budget and expense budget. There is a cash flow budget, and I will talk little bit about what is profit and cash little later. But basically, you have to plan your cash. And when cash is means there is a cash inflow and there is a cash outflow. So when you sell something and somebody pays you, you get cash. That is your cash inflow. And to make your product or to salaries to the people, when you pay to your vendors or your employees, that is cash outflow. So end of every month, you have to be cash surplus. That means really it is good for business. So let us talk a little bit about various kinds of funding. Okay, and some of the concepts I'm not going to go in lot of details, but as school students, I will try to explain you some of the things which you should know, like equity funding and debt funding. So let me first talk about debt funding. Now, debt funding means you get money as a loan. That means you go to the bank or you go to your parents or you go to family and friends and tell them that for my business, I require some money. And all of you, I'm sure between 8 and 10, that means you have covered concept of interest. So you take that money, that is principal, and you return that money with interest. Of course, that interest rate can be fixed based on your mutual negotiations, but that is called as debt funding. That means you get money for developing business on loan basis. So that is debt funding, so which you have to return back. Now, equity funding means somebody is giving you money and he says, don't return me. It is a equity finance, but okay, I want some share of your company. That means that suppose even if in this case, there are venture capital funds or even friends and families or your parents, they come and say, hey, take this 1 lakh of rupee and give me 10% equity in your company. What that means that when you make profits, 10% of profit, you have to give it to me or you have to share it with me. That is equity funding. But see, he is also taking a risk. That means if your business doesn't take off or it's not profitable or you have to close down, it's a failure, then you don't have to return this money because somebody has paid you that as an equity finance. That means he is owning that risk of business failure with you. Okay, and he doesn't want. Whereas in debt funding, okay, there will be some collateral, you will have to return the money. If you have, of course, but you still have to return the money. The third thing is grants. Like, for example, let's take this La Foundation today has given you 21,000 rupees per group or per college, uh, uh, some funding for you to develop product. That is grant. Grant means you are not giving any share in your company as well as you don't have to return the money. This is fantastic, right? But nobody gives. Generally, the grants is typically you get from government when they want to encourage some industry, or there are charity organizations, or there are some global funds who give grant for some social projects. Typically, they are not available for profit-making businesses. So there are three types of funding we discussed. Equity funding. So from startups point of view, equity funding is the best. While you are giving some share, there is no headache of returning it. Okay, because the person who is giving you funding, he is already taking risk with you. Typically, debt funding means you have to give back the money. Sometimes you have to give collateral along with the debt funding. That means you have to गिरवी रख के something, घर गिरवी रखा or sona गिरवी रखा or whatever. So you have to give collateral and you get the funding. And then there are grants. Then we will touch these two topics, intellectual property and bill of material. Bill of material, I will go in details in, a little bit more later, and trademarks. So intellectual property means all of you should understand importance of IP when you are developing any new technology. Okay, that means whatever new technology gets developed, you have a right on it, intellectual property. So always think in those lines that whatever new thing or extraordinary thing I develop, I always register. At various, there are government agency, you get IP registration in India, you can register globally, but you register so that nobody can copy it. Other is trademarks and registration. Again, you always you give a name, right? Whenever you develop a product, you give some brand name. Whenever you have a company, you give company name, and you have a logo. So all these things you register at with the government so that you again nobody copies it, and your investment in terms of brand, in terms of name, in terms of your trademarks, in terms of the technology through IP and trademarks and registrations, these are very important part of financial literacy that you will always keep in mind, that you should protect all your creations and make sure nobody copies it. Let's go next. Now we talked about equity funding, and let me repeat again, equity funding is something you get in lieu of giving them some share in your company. Now there are various stages like seed funding. That means sometimes you start with your own funds or from friends and family, or crowdfunding. In nowadays, crowdfunding is a big thing. Crowdfunding means you tell like hundreds of people that, hey, this is the idea I have, and I need 1 crore or rupees. I have only 20 lakhs. So I need another 80 lakhs. And in lieu of that, whoever pays, say me, I will give some portion of my company. That means I promise profit sharing to certain extent, say 1%, 2% to these people. So it is crowdfunding. Typically, startups get started with own funds or family funds and crowdfunding when a proof of concept is created, or the first batch of product is created, or first concept is prototyped, or a technology, you can say, proofs, like a small product which we can demonstrate if it's a software product. Or if you're doing games, then small portion of a game such is developed. Okay, so proof of concept and the first batch in case of manufacturing is made to show to investors that the viability. So typically people use seed funding, that is own funding or from friends and family or crowdfunding, to create POCs. And there is a reason for that. Once that POC is done or idea is conceived and you have demonstrable example to investors, you take that to investors and then show them, this is the market, this is the use case, this is the problem I am solving, this is the value I am generating, and this is the reason why you should invest in my venture so that I will return you profits or share of profits. So that is, so initially they are angel investors. Typically they are individuals, HNIs, that is high net worth individuals. These are the guys who typically they are not companies actually. Okay. Then comes the next level is venture funding. So typically startups start with seed funding, then angel investors, then they go to stage A where a commercial product is ready. Then you require to invest a lot of money in marketing, in sales, in logistics, in distribution, and so on. And you require a lot of money. So now you go to venture fund, who typically fund in millions of dollars, and sell them your concept and say that, hey, this is my journey so far. These are the angel investors. This is the first round of products. This is a market we have captured. Say in India, we have captured, and now we want to go globally and we need more funds. And so you give venture funding from them. Now imagine up to this stage, all the investors are only putting money into your startup, hoping that at one day when you are successful, they will get back their money with upside. Now, there are various ways, right? Sometimes one company gets sold to another company, and at that pricing, all the stakeholders, whoever have invested, get their returns. But sometimes nowadays, all of you hear that there is a IPO coming of this company. That means the company gets listed on stock market. Okay. Now, that is where again exit for all the investors. That means they can sell their shares that time and get back their investment. So there are various stages. We talked about debt funding, that you can get loans from banks, personal loans, and crowdfunding. Also, there are different types of fundings available, and of course, grants. But for startup, I would say the best choice for startup, where you can remember when I said in the first slide, there are 95% startups fail. Okay. So the risk to the owners or the founders is less if they have taken equity funding. So let us talk a little bit of concept of bill of material. Now, bill of material in really layman's term is cost of all the components which go into making of a product. Okay, let's take a car, right? Now, car has steering wheel, tires, the body, the seats, then electronic components. Then if you take steering wheel again, then they have gearbox, then there is hydraulic, there is fuel pumps, and so on. And again, when you take a fuel pump, it will have another 100 component up to the nut, bolt, washer. So all the list of all these components which go in making a product is called bill of material. And it is very, very important that when you start making your project plan, you should know first bill of material of your product. Suppose for school level right now, you have got a funding, the first thing you should make is bill of material, because that is a stage required for making your own budget, because you need to know what all goes into the product. Right, let's take example of this very simple product of agriculture IoT or a soil humidity app project. So you require Adreno, you require soil sensor, you require Bluetooth, relay module, solenoid valves, pipes, wires, etc. So all that you require. So you should make a list. Then once you make a bill of material, you have to say that from which vendor I am going to procure it. So sometime what happens, you get some raw material from the vendor, and then you make your own component. So that is called a manufacturing process, but we will not talk much about that process here. Assume that in your product, other than suppose your 3D printed casing or something, everything you are getting from outside, make a list of all the components which go into the product. That is called a bill of material. And this is very, very important. If you forget, your cost will go up, or sometime you will order everything and fail to order some important the component, and your product you will not able to deliver on time. So it is very important that bill of material is properly documented, and there are many systems, but you can do it in Excel. Now let us talk about profit and loss statement, right? So typically the profit and loss statement, I know that nowadays in school you are taught profit and loss statement. So it starts with revenue. Then from that, cost of material means all the material or component cost, then your salaries, and then your selling cost. And general admins means that some people are doing bookkeeping, somebody is doing arrangement for cleaning, somebody is doing running your cafeteria, somebody is making sure that net is working inside the campus and so on. Then there is HR, then somebody is looking at transport, travel, so on. So there is general and administration staff, so all the expenses there. So when you remove all the costs from revenue, you get operating profit, and from operating profit you get depreciation. I will not get into details what is depreciation, but let me tell you very simply. If you buy a computer and if the life of computer is 3 years, then your every year profit and loss, the complete cost of computer is not charged, but 1/3 it is charged. So it is called depreciation. So that means the cost of the asset is divided by life of asset, and for particular year, that much life of asset is charged to profit and loss statement. And then of course you pay interest and tax and you get profit after tax. Now, here I want to talk a little bit to all of you importance of cash. Now, always remember, in business, you should generate cash. Okay? And cash is more important than profit. I will tell you, you may be surprised, but I will give you with example. So, suppose you are in a business. In month 1, you do revenue of 100 and your all the cost is 80. So 100 minus 80, your profit is 20. So is your business profitable? Yes, your business is profitable because you made 20 rupees profit. Now imagine that when you sell something, okay, your credit terms are of that of 3 months. So that means that you are selling your product and the customer is giving you promise that I will pay for the product within 90 days. Now you made profit of 20 rupees. Now you have already given 80 rupees, but have you received your 100 rupees? Not yet. So actually you are cash negative. So you are profitable business in month number 1, but you are cash negative. Actually you don't have. And that's where you require a funding, because profit is not equal to cash. So most important is the cash planning. Many companies fail because they don't do proper cash planning, and sometimes even this edtech firm, okay, they don't have money this month to pay salaries of their employees. It's a bad cash planning. Okay, they should have taken cash either to debt or equity, enough cash to run business till the cash cycle from the business is started. So they have that much money. So always cash is the king. End of the year, your business should generate positive cash flow and not just profit. Okay. So now let's talk about little bit about how you price your product. Now there are various ways. Okay. One simple way of pricing your product is cost plus. That means your cost is 80 rupees in this case, and you want to make 20 rupees profit. Then you say that my price of the product is 100 rupees. That means, and here you are assuming that your product and the technology is in demand and customer is willing to pay you 100. Okay. So that means your pricing is based on cost plus profit. The second concept is market oriented profit. Now it again depends. So we will cover 3 situations: pricing above market, copy market, and price below market. Okay. So assume you develop a product, okay, and you have a brand and you feel that you are generating higher value for your product. Okay, let us imagine that there are 2 shampoos are in the market and you feel that, both have the purpose is, okay, it's a shampoo, end of the day. But your value proposition is, hey, my ingredients are organic, okay, and hence that it is healthy for you, and it will protect your hair longer period of time, and hence even if it is a shampoo, just a shampoo, I want to price premium. So that is a premium pricing. Of course, customers will decide. Second is copy market, your almost equivalent product, and there are another 5 products selling in the market at that price range. For you also, it is very easy, right? When you price it at the market price, that means you are another product or me too product like that. Very easy decision. Third is price below market. Now, in this price below market, basically you are late entrant. So you know that your product is great. You know that you have a better value proposition. But today it's a very crowded place. Suppose there are 20 brands of shampoos available and you want to target some of the market share of some of the already established products. So you, even if your product is better, you price little bit below the market pricing of similar product, so that to lure customers to buy your product. So this is a price below market. Next is dynamic pricing. Now, dynamic pricing, you very often nowadays you see when airline pricing, and or even sometimes nowadays I'm told our train pricing. That is dynamic pricing is demand based pricing. So the whole pricing engine, and it is algorithmic based. The algorithm is decided such that when you can say that if you are buying a ticket, okay, for going to say anywhere between two, from Bangalore to Delhi, you can say, or Pune to Calcutta, or even to Pune to Singapore or Dubai. You know, if you go and see the prices 3 months down the line, you will find the lowest, cheapest price. But as you go near to the date of travel, the price for same seat goes up. That is dynamic prices. That means there is a demand. Many people want that seat. So computer at the back end, they are checking how many people are buying for that particular journey, and accordingly they keep on increasing the price or decreasing the price. That is called dynamic pricing. This is basically also called as flexible pricing, okay, which changes based on current demand. So this is, if you see, we all covered from financing, importance of financing, equity financing, bill of material, debt, and little bit of pricing, and the most important thing, importance of cash. Now I would like to open the session for Q&A, and I will cover more topics and through questions what I get. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shashank sir. We will now begin with the question and answer session. Students and teachers, if you have any queries, please make sure that you post them in the Q&A section of the Zoom webinar. We will be able to see those questions and answer them as asked. So, sir, we have one question by Edika, Janvi Edika, asking, sir, can you please explain a bit more again about the seed funding?
Okay. So see, typically when you have an idea, and when you want to start something, you require some money. At this stage, typically, you don't want to go to angel investors or somebody really you don't know, because this is in formation stage. So typically whom you will go? Okay, seed funding. If you already have money, you will say, oh I will use my piggy bank to get some money, or you will go to your parents, or you will go to your other family or friends and get some initial money to prove the idea. That is typically called as seed funding. Now the seed funding itself requirement may differ from product to product. If you have a very small software product idea, your cost is less because you are just using a computer and your brain. If you are doing any manufacturing product and you want to do, say, in this case, suppose you are making a small electronic assembly and you have a 3D printed casing, so, and you want to make 10 such components, then you require 10 MCU units, 10 sensors, some wiring, some 10 casings, 3D printed casings. So you may require some more money. That is a seed funding, but you can get that typically from your own fund, that is bootstrapped, or from your parents or from family and friends, and it is just enough to prove the concept. So that is called as seed funding. That is initial, to sow the seed.
We have another question from Sarang Maidev. He's asking, sir, if there is a negative cash flow, then fundings are taken. But if cash flow itself is negative, that is, I think the business is making loss, then how can the startup pay back its debt or loan to the investor?
Okay, good question. So first of all, let us start with, uh, okay, let's play a scenario. Okay, you are beginning of your business, you have a great idea. Okay, so you need a seed funding. So assume that it's your parents are going to pay you. So you go to your parents and say that, hey, I have this great idea. Please pay me 1 lakh rupees. So parent says, wow, you have a great idea. He may ask you a few questions, but not as many questions as venture capital or angel investor will ask you. So he will give you 1 lakh rupees. Now in your bank, you have 1 lakh rupees. Now assume that your initial cost of development, okay, is say 80,000 rupees. So till you consume and come out with the first prototype, you have a positive cash flow. Even if you are not selling anything, you are not making any profit, you have a positive cash flow because you got 1 lakh rupee funding, and say every month you expense 20,000 rupees for 4 months. So your 80,000 gone, but still you have a 20,000 rupees in your bank. At that point of time, suppose you have a prototype ready. Now you go to angel investors, say, and tell angel investor, hey, Mr. Angel Investor, this is the idea, this is the prototype, this is a business plan. We talked about revenue plan, business plan. This is the market, and this is the reason why no such product is available on the market, or there are product, but why my product is better, and I need 10 lakh rupees to now manufacture this product in more quantities and sell it in the market. So my manufacturing cost, selling cost is I require 10 lakh. So you started with 1 lakh. At end of 4 months, your POC is ready, but you have 20,000 left. You are not making profit. Okay. Angel says, wow, you have a great idea. He gives you 10 lakh. So now on 5th month in your bank, you have 10 lakh 20,000. Now you really start manufacturing your product. Okay. And so your manufacturing cost say is 1 lakh rupee, for that quantity. I'm simplifying. So what that means, you have 10 lakh in 10, 20, but assume 10 lakh in bank, and your manufacturing, selling, all cost to sell is say 1 lakh rupee. Okay, including your product, material cost, everything. So you have 10 months of runway, for you have a 10 months of cash. Now 1 month pass, so really you sell and make 20,000 profit. Another month pass, you make 20,000 profit. Third month pass, 20,000, and now you start getting. So you are from 10 lakh, you have already reduced to 7 lakhs. But after that, your profit, which your creditors start paying you back, so then your it became 6.20, but 1 lakh less, but 20,000 added. So you reach a stage where your initial investment, which is say equity, nobody wants it back, right? Provided you a cushion or a positive cash flow till there is a positive cash flow coming from your business. So if you see now 20,000 in 5 months, actually it's a cycle, and you assume that it's working and everything on time, then now your business is generating 20,000 rupees extra every month, and you are getting that after the credit period, and that is called a positive cash flow cycle. Great. So positive cash flow cycle happening, that means at that level of 1 lakh or that production, you have self-sustaining business. You don't have to worry, because every month you are making 20,000 profit. End of the 3 months, you are getting that. So you are running a profitable business. Now there may be a stage coming that you want to expand business tenfold. So again, you require investment. So you go to another investment. So let's say look at my track record, and I'm running business very fine. I'm profitable. Plus my customers are paying me on time and so on. Great. So this is a positive cycle. Now imagine that you take this 10 lakhs and still your business doesn't take off, right? There is a negative cycle. Whether you make manufacturing of 1 lakh worth of product, but you are unable to sell. You sell only 60,000. Again, you make 1 lakh, again you sell. So you are unable to sell. So only the inventory is piling up with you. That is a negative. So you are only drawing money from your initial kitty. So you still have 1 year of runway. But when that is over, well, either you have to, if you are lucky, somebody will still pay you money. Sometimes some such businesses are loss making, and I will give you example. Still, they give you money because they have a long term view on the market, but otherwise you have to close the business. Now let's take example. Today you hear, let's take our Zomato and Swiggy, right? Let's take Swiggy. Okay. Today their valuation is $1 billion, 7,000 crores of rupees. People have invested in there. But let me tell you, every year they are still making loss. And still there are some investors who are pumping money in hope that there will be so many Indians who will stop cooking at home that at that point of time, that Swiggy will turn profitable and return a lot of money to its investors.
Thank you, sir. We will move on to the next question. Can you say how we can integrate the dynamic pricing in our products?
No, so actually I will tell you, the dynamic pricing is used when there is a variable demand for your product. So for example, okay, but it again depends on the philosophy, you know. So for example, as I said, airline ticket. So there are fixed number of seats, right? 180 seats per plane, suppose, which is going from Pune to Delhi. I'm just making it up. Okay. And I'm a new airline. I start new service from Pune to Delhi and say that, hey, you know, now introductory ticket is, or the lowest ticket is 5,000, but only such 5 tickets are available. Then it is 10,000, then it is 20,000. Okay. Now what happens as, and we are talking, say, 1 month from now, the date of travel. As the plane starts filling, okay, the airline says that, hey, you know, 20 seats are left, and even if I make it 20 ka 30,000, there will be takers. So he makes the ticket to 30,000. And even that is feel, he feels that, hey, there is a demand. Look at, I will explain you this. There are that World Cup final match. All the flights to Ahmedabad, okay, were overbooked, and when India reached final, people were ready to pay any price. Okay, so this is a high demand. Again, hotels are similar pricing. They don't open all the rooms simultaneously, but they keep on increasing the prices based on the demand. There is a reverse way also. Many a times you get best offers for last minute travel. What that means is dynamic pricing. Say the prices have increased and you decide you go to the airport, and by your luck that plane is not full. You may get a price much lower than person who have bought the ticket 1 day before, 2 day before. They are called last minute tickets are available. So sometimes you get good deals, but then there is a big risk, right? There may not be any ticket available. So dynamic pricing is really depends on, is suitable for such services business like hotels or airlines, where there are fixed number of hotel rooms or fixed number of airline seats or trains, okay, and more takers. You will see always that hotels, say in, say, beach hotels, Okay, typically during school holidays, the hotel prices are very high. During when the schools reopen, the prices drop. In Goa, if you see, in monsoon region, nobody wants to go, prices drop. In November to June region, everybody wants to go, prices skyrocket. So that is called as dynamic pricing or opportunity-based pricing. Typically, but it is not applicable to standard products. So you will not say toothpaste, anybody selling toothpaste, Colgate, putting dynamic pricing, right? Or on your chips, nobody will give dynamic pricing. Typically, they are mass consumed products. So the MRP is listed on the packet. They are regulated pricing. Is the MRP is listed, and you have to, that's the maximum price one can sell.
So, what are pre-revenue and post-revenue companies?
What is?
And
Pre-revenue and post. It's very simple. Pre-revenue means your product is still not selling, right? Pre-revenue companies means still you are developing your product. You have not yet launched it in the market. Post-revenue means you launch your product and somebody is buying your product. So your revenue you are getting. So cash you are getting is by selling product. Typically, pre-revenue, all the cash, as I explained, is from investors or debt.
we have one more question: how to make profit from our product?
Oh, very easy. You have to sell it at a higher price than your manufacturing cost. But anyway, so see, making profit is, so there is, first of all, you will not develop a product if it will not sell, right? Okay. And you will not develop a product if you will not sell it for profit. So nobody, other than some social entrepreneurs, nobody starts business on the assumption that I am going to make loss. Everybody starts business with the assumption that I'm going to make profit. That means he has a confidence on his technology, on his product quality, on the demand from the market, and that people will able to pay a price which will earn him profits. So he has done that market analysis, okay, or product positioning analysis or business analysis before he gets into development of any product or solution. So this is very important stage. So one is, first is market analysis, second is budgeting, then as I said, you should have all costs in place, your manufacturing costs, then which markets, how you will take it to market, what is your selling cost, and iske baad mein, you should able to get a price at which you will make a profit. And all this you need to do your market research before starting your product development.
So, we have one question: what are pre-money and post-money funding rounds?
Yeah, as I said, no, see, it's a similar thing, till you see, as I said, no, till you start selling, you still require funding. And even if you start selling, okay, to scale, okay, even if you are generating, your business is generating cash, you still require some cash to expand to different territories or expand your manufacturing line from one factory to 10 factories and so on. So you still continue to require funding even if you are profit making company for a scale which you are running. So typically these are the term, but I feel that you should not get into those details right now.
We have an interesting question: how do we convince the customers and satisfy them with our pricing?
By the value you produce for him. Very simple. Why would customer buy a product from you? Number one, the quality of the product. Number two, it satisfies his needs or wants. Okay. Three is value for money. That means your product is better than competition and it satisfies the requirement or a use case or his need. Okay. If you satisfy all these conditions, customer will buy a product from you.
One more question: how to plan a company's monthly budget?
Okay. So as I said, budget has two components, right? Revenue budgeting and expense budgeting. Now, and I'm assuming that you have developed a product and now it's a running company. So your sales and marketing should give you what is their expectations from the market, that how many products they will sell in next 3 months and in 6 months, a year. So that's called as a revenue budget. Now, once revenue budget is done, then the manufacturing head or service head, he decides, oh, he will able to sell 100 components or 100 products. So that means I have to make 100 products. Okay. So for making 100 products, this is what is bill of material. So much electricity is required. So much space is required. Raw material is required. And this is my manufacturing time. So he makes a expense budget. Okay, so typically people do annual budgets. They break it down further into monthly budgets and track that monthly budget. But it is always forward exercise. And typically for when your company starts running, see, very premature stages, like when you have just started and all, you have to do it like, oh, next month, let's plan 1 month be successful, then 6 months be successful, 1 year. But once you establish, typically annual budgeting is what is recommended.
For an entrepreneur with limited money and limited resources, for hiring finance management experts, how should he or she safeguard themselves from losses?
No. So there are two different questions, right? So as I said, there has to be financial literacy in the company. So what that means, if the person typically who has an idea, he doesn't have any finance background, he should appoint an accountant or take help of. Today, nowadays, there are many accounting services companies. What that means is very small companies cannot afford their own accounting experts or finance expert within their company. So they go to such companies and they say, hey, don't worry till you grow big and have your own accountant, finance guy, legal guy. We will provide you such services, because they are providing to such another 20 companies. So their cost is divided over 20 companies. So they charge you only on your appetite or your requirement basis. Okay. So best is to start with someone accountant or some accounting help part-time, which help you in financial literacy or making sure that your all bookkeeping is handled, or your taxes are paid, or your compliances are paid, salaries are paid, government deductions are paid, and so on. So basically, to take care of all your accounting and financial needs, there is a help, so that you can focus on product development and sales.
Thank you, sir. One final question we are going to take. So, which is a safer option for
But
startup?
I have some time, because if there are more questions, I'm happy to take the questions.
Okay. So, which is a safer route for startups, equity funding or grants?
Always, if somebody is willing to give you a grant, take it. But see, grants are typically very limited, right? Because it's just to encourage. But I feel when there is a great idea, and you are really serious and you want to develop a product, you should not depend on grant. You should explain your idea to start with your seed funders and then to angel and then to venture funds, and convert that idea to reality. Grant is just if you are lucky, I can say.
So we don't have any open questions. There is a question for me. That is, we are still designing our prototype and making a smaller prototype. Should it be real time size or can we design small one? So when it comes to the final submissions for this program, um, of course, we are aware that in the given budget, there is uh, less possibility for some of the pseudo startups that have been developed to create real size products. They need to be scaled down. But yes, the one requirement that we have for our final submission is the product that you are creating. The scaled down prototype should be functional, should be fully functional. It should carry out the task that it is designed for, so that when you present it in front of the juries or when the evaluators are evaluating your startup page, you will be able to convince them in a better way that we have created a real working prototype, and when the time comes, we can scale it up and create a final working product as well. I hope this answers your question. Um, we don't have any more open questions right now. So thank you very much, Shashank sir, for accepting our invitation to be a part of this session. And thank you very much, everyone, for attending this session. You can share, if you have any more questions, you can always share them with us. You can write us on mail. You can request your teachers or principals to write us on WhatsApp group as well. You can post your questions on the school communities and we will be happy to answer them for you. Thank you very much. I'll end the session for now.
Thank you and all the best.